Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a video covering the nerf to the Soviet Tier 10 premium tank destroyer, the SU-152 Taran. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Taran. What we're going to do in this video is go over what got nerfed about it, show you what I run in terms of a setup, and then the statistics of the tank while it's fully set up, so you can see what you can get it down to, and then show you some gameplay of how it performs now it's been nerfed. So it got nerfed, yeah, because it was one of the best, if not the best, Tier 10 tank destroyer. The concealment on it was mental. It had one of the best DPMs, for its alpha, that is, as well, at Tier 10, which was just insane, because it had 950 alpha and having nearly 4.2k, or actually it had 4.2k plus DPM, which was just stupid. It was just stupid, to be fair, with the concealment it had as well, meaning it very rarely got spotted for firing that as well. Yeah, mental. This tank was insane. And what they've done is they've nerfed it, and now it's more in line with a lot of the other 850 alpha stealthy TDs. It's about the same level as the Gorilla 15 now, which, to be fair, is still ridiculously strong, because and I said it in the video I did on the Gorilla 15 a little while ago, the buffs that they gave that tank went overboard, and that tank's pretty overpowered now. But I digress. It's still in that sort of league. It's still a very, very good stealthy tank destroyer. It absolutely slaps. Its DPM's still good. It's still got the good mobility, and the camo on it is still fantastic. You do feel a difference in this with the nerf, for sure. The nerf has impacted it quite a bit. But generally, it is still a ridiculously good Tier 10 premium tank destroyer with 850 alpha. So if you were wondering, have they absolutely destroyed it? No, it's still very, very strong as a tank, but it's not quite the stupid levels it was. So what did they actually nerf on this vehicle? Let's go to the article that tells you all about it. As you can see, the number has got higher on the moving and still concealment. If you look at an article and they tell you these kinds of numbers, the higher number means that they've nerfed it. It's not higher is better, it's higher is worse. So they've nerfed the moving concealment, and they've nerfed the still concealment. The 152mm gun went from 950 alpha to 850 alpha. The reload got buffed from 18.4 to 17.6 to compensate for the alpha damage change, but it's still actually got worse DPM than it had. So they have buffed the reload to keep it so that it still has a similar-ish DPM to it, but it's still not quite the level of DPM that it had before. And as you can see, that means the damage per minute's gone from 3,097 to 289 without any statistics. So, with the SU-152 Taran, what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment on this vehicle? Well, in terms of the crew, I run Born Leader, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Rapid Loading, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, Silent Driving, Camouflage Expertise, and Muffled Shot. So I run the 3 camo perks to make sure that this tank is going to stay nice and stealth, and especially after firing, reducing the effect of firing on the 152mm gun by 35% is very, very helpful. And then keeping the camouflage down by 10% and the on the move concealment down as well for the Taran can be very, very helpful for you to be able to get into position and just stay absolutely sneaky. The steady aim and run and gun is to make the accuracy in general better on this tank by 10%, everything about the accuracy, and run and gun to knock the accuracy during movement down so that the aim circle doesn't bloom out as badly as it could do if we start moving. And it's not that I'm taking shots on the move in the Taran, it's more to keep the aim circle bloom a lot smaller while I'm moving the vehicle so that it doesn't have to sit and wait for too long to be able to actually aim the gun. And then the other perks you're going to run in general on every single World War II tank. And then in terms of equipment, I run the advanced loader, the camo net, and optics. Optics will be able to get 499 meters of view range, as you can see there, so I can spot myself really, really easily. With the camo net to get the concealment down to that 250 meters of still concealment, which is filthy and really helps me to stay unspotted all the time, which is lovely. And the advanced loader to get the best out of the DPM, which is what you always want to do, especially on a tank destroyer like this that can rely on its DPM very effectively. But yeah, that's what I run in terms of a crew and equipment. Like I say, I maximise the camo, get the view range so I can spot things at further distances, and again, it helps me stay unspotted, because if I spot something at the max range of my view range and then manage to fire at them, a lot of the time I might not get spotted myself for doing that, whereas if I spot them closer to me, naturally when I fire, I'll get lit up. In terms of the armour, this tank has none. It has absolutely no armour. Occasionally, though, you'll find that even though it's got 30mm of armour on the turret, because of the angling, your HE rounds still don't pen it. You sit there going, but it's only got 30mm of armour, I've got 60, 70 pen, that should have gone through. Yeah, sometimes the Taran just laughs at you and doesn't actually get penned by HE, which is quite annoying. But yeah, there's also the Soviet log, 220mm log on the back for the memes. For the memes! And the amount of times that shots hit that and just don't do anything is stupid as well, especially when it's heat rounds or HE, but there we go. So let's get into the statistics of the Taran with it fully kit. Oh, actually, let's have a quick look at the modules before we get into the statistics. There's the engine blocks. It does like getting set on fire. Even though it's got 12% internal fire chance, it's very Soviet in the fact that it gets hit in the front here, it likes to set on fire. That's where the ammo racks are on the Taran, so if you hit it in the back end, or the back of the turret, that's where you're likely to damage its ammo rack, and that's where the crew sit in the Taran as well. So now let's get into the statistics of the SU-152 Taran. So as you can see, 63 kilometers an hour top speed, 18 kilometers an hour reverse speed, 480 horsepower engine is 17.73 horsepower per ton ratio, and with a 2.12 on soft, 1.29 on medium and 1.1 on firm, the terrain resistances are not that great really for it, which means this tank does feel more sluggish than its power to weight suggests it should be. So you don't hit 63 all the time unless you go on as well, unless you build up momentum, you know, and you get a good amount of time to keep going in a straight line, or you go down a hill. So you don't often hit 63, but generally you travel between 50 and 60 quite easily here in the Taran, or for me personally, that's generally what I do. But yeah, the terrain resistances do hold it back a little bit. You got 34 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed, so it does turn fairly quickly on its tracks, which is nice. 250 meters of still concealment is absolutely bonkers, same as the 266 meters of on the move concealment, which means that, again, this tank is still super, super stealthy. They may have nerfed the camo, it's just not at the stupid levels it was previously. Now it's still a very, very, very strong level. 499 meters of view range means this tank spots for itself very, very well as well. 28.24 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed is actually pretty quick for a turreted tank destroyer. A lot of the time, turreted tank destroyers have very slow turret traverse. That's actually pretty quick for this type of, this kind of vehicle. You've got 1.23 accuracy during rotation, with a 3.16 accuracy during movement, which is not great as a pair. It means the aim circle does bloom out a lot. The aim circle does become rather large. And you've got 2.49 second aim time as well, which means it takes a little bit to get this gun aimed in, which can be a bit of pain. But for the most part, if you're playing it in that stealthy tank destroyer role, where you've got yourself to a position where you've spotted the enemy, you give yourself the time to aim, you don't feel it that badly anyway. 5 degrees of gun depression is inflexible, it is a pain, it is very Soviet, and so you have to be careful about the ridgeline you go on. You really have to go up on top of a ridgeline to be able to get your gun down. 5 degrees of gun depression isn't great, and can be a bit of a pain. 0.3 accuracy at 100 meters, though, is pretty accurate, and especially for a 152mm gun, means that if you do get the gun fully aimed in, a lot of the time you will hit your shots because that accuracy is pretty nice. With a 12.84 second reload, that's still 3.9k DPM, which is still nearly 4k DPM. The DPM is still absolutely amazing, and so you will still rack up damage very, very quickly in this SU-152 Taran. 303 penetration on the standard AP is amazing. 395 pen on the premium heat, amazing. 90mm penetration on the HE for 1,100 damage, solid. The penetration on this tank will not let you down. It is fantastic, and you will go through pretty much every vehicle you're ever going to face with no real problems, especially if you load the heat rounds. As long as you're not hitting spaced armor, that will butcher everything. And you've got 850 alpha now instead of 950, which means that you've still got the DPM. You'll still rack up damage really quickly, just like you did with 950. It just means that the rolls you'll get are a lot less over 1,000, because the amount of times you saw over 1,000 rolls with the Taran is silly. Now you'll still see over 1,000 rolls occasionally, but not all the time. And a lot of the time you can roll, you know, between 600 plus, well, 680 thing is the lowest I've seen, or 690, something like that. And then you can roll up to still over 1,000. You know, it's that 20% minus RNG or whatever. So yeah, 850 alpha is a lot lower than 950 it was, which is better. 960 meters a second in shell velocity on the standard AP with 760 on the heat and the HE is below average, which means that you will have to give a lot of lead at distance to be able to hit your targets with the Taran. So do bear in mind that you do have to give a lot of lead because the shell velocity isn't the best on this tank. And it is a tier 10 premium, so you don't get any bonuses whatsoever on the SU-152 Taran. But yeah, that's the Taran. Like I say, it's been nerfed. It's still an absolutely solid tank destroyer. It's still amazing, to be fair. It will still have those amazing games in it where you can farm up because the DPM is still fantastic, the gun handling is still alright, and you've still got amazing concealment. It's one of those. And like I say, it's probably on a par with the Guerrilla 15 now, which is good because it's more in line with one of the tech tree tanks, but then the Guerrilla nowadays is absolutely bonkers as well. Like I say, the buffs that they gave this vehicle were definitely a bit over the top, and now this tank is probably a little bit OP, but there we go. This tank is amazing. The Gorilla 15 as a tech tree vehicle is just utterly insane with the amazing gun handling on 0.22, 1.38 second aim time. The 3.9k DPM, so it's still got a little bit less DPM than the Taran, but not much. And you've got that amazing gun to go with it, as well as the mobility on the vehicle. The camo is worse on this than it is on the Taran, but yeah, it's an absolutely insane tank, the Gorilla. But yeah, that's the Taran anyway, with its nerf. Like I say, still very, very strong vehicle to play at tier 10 as a tank destroyer. And if you were worried about the nerf absolutely destroying it, it's not. It's still going to be an amazing tank. So yeah, that's the SU-152 Taran. So what I'm going to do now is send you into the replays where you can watch this tank in action, see how it handles, and yeah, see what you will have to play if you do own this vehicle. So as always, everybody, I'll see you in the replays. So here we are in the replays with the Taran. This first game is here on this map, which is Kaunas. And on Kaunas, what we want to do with the Taran is go to a position like the corner at C5, because then we can shoot at people that might get spotted in the position at E9. If they get spotted there, we can put a big shot into them and then pull back around the corner if we were to get spotted. With the Taran having such good camo at 250 meters of still concealment, the likelihood is we might not get spotted if we do that as well, which is quite nice. And having the 499 meters of view range, we might be able to spot anything that sits on the corner, but obviously it depends if it's got a good camo. If it's like another Taran, for example, we're probably going to struggle to spot it unless he fires. So we're going to do what we want to do in the Taran, which is swivel round so you're facing the other way. So the moment you do get spotted, you can get out of dodge and pull straight up onto the top little ridge. So with the M60 putting blind fires into that bush, I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to help out. I'm going to put a blind fire in towards that bush, see if we can hit whatever might be there hidden, because I feel like, maybe the M60's blind firing because he's hit something, so there's something over there. We may as well try it. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So, with the bat chat currently in the corner being faced off by a couple of our tanks, and we can't quite find a shot at him, I'm just trying to get some elevation to be able to find a shot at this bat chat, because you can see that we can keep getting the outline for him, and it was just, we could just about see him through the building. So with the bat chat gone, there's no threat to our rear. Now there's a T-54 that we can't quite find a shot at. There's also the M6Y and an M103. And we shoot to that M103. It looked like it was going true into his side, and it did track damage only. But it didn't look like we hit the M103, which makes me think there was something unspotted directly in front of him. And there was. And we took a hit for it because he fired at the M60. There was an Object 704 directly in front of that M103. We hit the Object 704 blind, but didn't pen it. We just must have hit his tracks or something, or his gun, one of the two. And then we ended up taking a hit from him, blind, because he shot at the M60. What are the chances of that? What are the chances? But we know now that there's possibly an Object 704 on that corner. The heavy tanks we should spot if they are there, so we're just being patient, because that's the one thing you've got to have with stealthy TDs like the Gorilla, like the Taran. You've got to have a little patience, because otherwise, if you go too aggressive, you've got no armor, you'll die. We got a nice shot there into the M103 this time for 850 odd, and that's where you start to feel a bit of the difference in the damage, right? Instead of rolling for 950, 1,000, 900 on a low roll, you're hitting for 850, 800, 900 on a high roll, that sort of thing. That's where you feel the difference in the alpha on the Taran for sure. But in terms of the damage racking up, you don't really feel that much difference because the DPM is still in that good spot that it has. So we're just going to back up to see if we can find another shot into the M103, to see if we can spot them up, because we've got 1,600 damage, well, nearly 1,700 damage so far, with 1,700 assistance damage, and we're just trying to back up around the corner to see if we can see the medium tank that was on the corner. We do see the M6Y, which is the tier 9 Yo tank. We can't get a shot at him. The Object 704 gets spotted up, so we aim up the shot, slap the shot home for 698 into the 704, securing our first kill of this game. So that medium tank was spotted on the corner at F67, so what I'm going to do is try and get an angle on them from over this way instead of trying to push out too far around that corner. It was a bit risky trying to spot around that corner like that, because there was every chance that if we got spotted, people like the M6Y could have poked around that corner on the hill and then put a shot into us before we could have ever got away, because we were so far away from our cover that we'd used, or we'd put ourselves in, right? So we're closing the distance on the M103 now. We've got a friend in the Object 257. Put a shot through the turret ring, I think, of the M103 there. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, he's fine, please, Mr. 257, go get him. I've taken the hit. You can kill him. So with the M103 getting shot from behind of the STRV-103, we can push over to see if we can find the tank. There was another tank up here, which was the M6Y. I'm not sure if he's still here. The artillery gets spotted at the back. Couldn't quite find the shot into the artillery. But from their campy hill, we can now get shots into the rear of the vehicles that are pressuring the town. So we see the 705. I thought maybe I could get a shot into him. I couldn't get a shot into... Well, I could have got a shot into the other vehicle, which I think was a Centurion in the distance. He was low health, though, and I wanted to try and get a shot into the 705. We do get a shot into the artillery for 774. The Centauro, that it was, got shot down by the T-62A, leaving just 2 tanks left on the enemy team. The heavy tank in the town, and this 705, who is just behind cover. And we can't quite find the shot in, so I'm waiting for him to hopefully drive round, but no, he doesn't drive out directly in front of our gun. So how dare he not just drive in front of us and give us an easy shot of damage? Terrible of him. He should have just fed the Taran the kill, but we finished the game with a fairly average result there for the SU-152 Taran. Finished the game with the epic victory, 4,000 damage, 1 kill, 2.3k assistance, the third class for the 1193 base XP. So fairly average game there for a stealthy tank destroyer like the SU-152 Taran. And we're on to this second replay. And this second replay, we're on a map that is not particularly great for a Taran, which is Himmelsdorf. Now, the one thing that you do have as a Taran on a map like Himmelsdorf is peekaboo. You can play peekaboo because you can poke around the corner, go, hi friend, 850 alpha, pull back behind cover. The problem is, naturally, it's a fairly brawly map, and fairly brawly maps do not lend themselves to tank destroyers with no armor and have camo, because generally you don't get as much opportunity to use the camouflage that this vehicle will have. So we tried to hit the T100 LT on the move, but, well, we missed, naturally. The medium tank gets spotted, which is a Leopard 1, in that corner, but we actually have a shot towards the T92. And as you can see, you can still, with 850 alpha, you can still roll for 1,000. We rolled for 1,020 on that T92. 1,020! Nice. I'll take that RNG every day. Because, yeah, that would have been a very casual roll for the 950 alpha Taran. For the 850 alpha Taran, that's an extreme high roll. Extreme. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, you go, ooh, thank you. You know, it's one of those. So there's a heavy tank in the 705A behind that cover. Can't get a shot into him, but we can drive round to get a shot into the Chaug. We hit him for 891. I was hoping to track and pen the Chaug, but I think the EBR 105 actually tracked him and didn't pen him or something like that. So we're waiting on the reload so we can try and get that Chaug yet again with a shot. But I think he's driven into a similar position to what the Object 705A is on the corner at E1. So we're going to try and pull back, see if the Leopard is in a position maybe we can get a shot into him. But we just got to be careful, got to be patient. I'm looking at the map, though, going, I'm not a fan of the positioning. I'm not a fan of the fact that there's only 4 of us down on this low ground. And there's definitely a couple of tanks down here. I don't want to get stuck into a brawl with a 705A or a Chaug if I can help it. But if I can try and get a cheeky shot or two into them, great times. But we see the medium tank, which is the Leopard. He was starting to progress. So he's behind a wall, which is destructible cover. We put the shot in for 939. Oof, and then we get ourselves back behind cover. But I was surprised to start getting hit by a bat chat on the hill. Because there's a bat chat and a heavy tank on the hill, but look how many of our team are over there. I was fully expecting for them to be preoccupied. Sadly, though, we lost 2 shots of hit points to that Barask, which is quite awkward. And we're starting to get closed down now. There's 2 TDs progressing along from D5 and along the Banana Road, which is awkward. Because, again, we're big, no armor tank destroyer. It's going to take a load of our hit points away very, very quickly. So we have to be really careful about it. I got myself into cover quickly and then waited for myself to get unspotted before I poked out. We knew there was a heavy tank towards our cap, which is kind of what I wanted to go get. But with him running actually towards the hill, we don't have to worry about that anymore. So we're going to poke around to see if we can find that tank destroyer that was around the corner. But in fact, the Leopard 1 is coming after our EBR friend. So we're going to support the EBR where we can. We put a big shot into that Leopard 1. Get ourselves back around the corner in case the Leopard 1 decides he's just going to drive around after us. But we know we're nearly loaded, which means we can kill this guy in 1 hit. And good night, Mr. Leopard 1. We're up to 4.7k damage with 336 assistance damage. And there's still 8 tanks left alive on in this game. So we need to go try and affect the game by getting some kills, knocking some guns out the game, and getting that little bit extra damage. So we know artillery's in the corner. We get spotted. There's the Chow. Oh. We managed to snapshot the Chow. The Chow snapshots us. Sad times. Gorilla 15 at the end of the road. He starts looking at us and I'm like, oh no. Thankfully, we get unspotted at the right moment. Put the shot into him blind and get ourselves around the corner from where he can't actually shoot at us anymore. Getting ourselves safe, but we've managed to chunk away a load of his hit points. We're up to 6,022 damage. We're nearly loaded. We want to go around the corner to shut down the T100LT. And we don't fire in time. One of those moments again where you pull the trigger, you go, I've got you, pulls trick dead. Ah. Didn't fire quick enough, so he shut us down, but we still finished with the 2 kills, 6,022 damage. The second class, the high caliber, for 1244 base XP. A pretty nice game there for the Taran on Himmelsdorf. And now we're on to the third and final replay of this video, which is on this map, which is Nomini Nom. And on Nomini Nom, we've got the spawn that I do like playing from, because from this spawn, we can go play the ridge lines around D4, C4 in that little area there. And with the Taran, we can get there quite quickly with our top speed. We can also use the 499 meters of view range to outspot people quite easily. And we can actually play like a scout at times. If we poke over, we can spot our targets, dump a shot into them, and then get ourselves safe down the ridge line, which is nice for us here on Nomini Nom. And because we've got that 250 meters of still concealment, it's very difficult to spot us until we fire. And with 266 meters of on the move concealment as well, it's quite difficult to even spot us getting into position, because our camo is just that good. Because our camo is, even though it's been nerfed, it's still absolutely incredible camo. And it was a very difficult thing to try and dislodge is the Taran, even with that kind of camo. So we're going to go to this little ridgeline over here in front of us at D4, because it's a great little position to poke over. You can spot people at ED1, and then you can try and shoot people if they push a bit aggressively and go under your gun line at C4. Like, we know there was one or two that did cross that little area. So we're going to back up, poke over, see if we can spot anyone. We actually find a Foch, but again, we want to see if we can spot anyone on that little spot over there. There is someone there who just shot us. It's a Batchat 25T. He managed to instantly snap us, but we got spotted because of the TD that came over at E3. If you get spotted in that position that we just did there, run away. Run as fast as you can. Because if we just sat there, the likelihood is we'd have got shot by more tanks that were unspotted in that position that we got shot from the Batchat. So yeah, you need to run as soon as you get spotted. So we poke over, shoot Mr. E5, who's got himself into a bit of an awkward spot. We're up to 844 damage with that shot. Gonna wait for ourselves to get unspotted, and the thing is, we've got the perfect reload to go get unspotted. Because by the time you've just about got the reloading in the Taran, you've got yourself unspotted. Which means that they might not be paying attention to you too much, or you can sneak over to go get a shot into someone. So that E5 is a bit preoccupied. He's getting shot up. So you know what? We're going to aim up the shot for this Cupola on the Foch 155. Aim up the shot. And it misses. Thanks, gun. 0.3 accuracy in action. That's 0.3 accuracy, which is really accurate, but no, sadly not. We actually ended up going straight over his Cupola, which is the sad times. But we knew we could poke over and not get spotted for doing it, so that's what we're going to do again. Go for that Cupola shot. It goes over him. And we hit something else. Okay, then. Not sure what I hit, but we hit something blind. We fired at the Foch and hit something else, because the shot went over his Cupola yet again. But pen something. So, you know what? We'll take it. We'll absolutely 100% take it. We'll take the 3 shots of damage. There's the tank that we must have shot. It's a Taran. We fire at him. That shell, like it went nowhere. And you know what that was? We hit the Foch. So we took the shot at the Taran there. It looked like it was clearly going to pen that Taran. It looked like it went straight to the middle of his tank. But it did no damage, and it looked like it vanished. And it's because we hit the Foch blind. And we bounced. Sad times. But we get the shot in to finally kill Mr. Foch 155. Get out, my guys. You've lived in this game for too long. RNG just said, you shall live, and went, ha ha, to me. So, thank you. Their Taran gets spotted. Again, we try to snap the shot into the Taran. It doesn't go anywhere near. We're up to 3.2k damage, and I really want to try and get into a position to get a little bit more damage, because it's still 14-10, so there's still a few shots of... Well, there's still quite a few tanks left, but we want to get in the action. We've not really felt like we've done too much. So, unfortunately, we went for the shot into the Rogel Dawn's Cupola, and the shot just went wide and to the right. So we ended up missing that shot. But we can pen this guy by going through that cupola. The shot goes low that time and hits the gun mantlet and not the cupola of the Rogal Dawn. So, again, sadly, we didn't actually pen him. And we're just going to move up. But we get detected. And that's because of Mr. E4 over in the distance. So we pop the shot, snapshot, and do gun damage only. The 4005, however, that looks like a juicy target. But naturally, just as we reload, he gets himself behind cover. We've now got shots towards the E50 in the distance. And with their team pushing a little bit aggressively along the 7 line and along the 8 line, we're just going to take the opportunity to keep pulling back behind this rock, get ourselves safe, and reload. So they look like they're going to push this waffly 100. So we just wait for the shot straight through that Progetto 65. And the waffly 100 ends up finishing off the Progetto 65. We're up to 4.9k damage. Maybe the E50M might do the same and go around on this Waffle 100. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But he doesn't seem to be doing that, so we're going to poke out to see if we can see where that 4005 or the E4 was, because you never know. We ping the spot going, someone want to spot it? I'll shoot it. I swear, I'll give you damage. But with no one spotting them, instead, we're going to go over and try and get some damage into this Rogal Dawn, who's looking towards us. I suppose it's because of the TD that's currently driving over towards him. So we're going to reverse over so that, again, we've got the gun pointing over the back of the tank, making it as easy as possible. And rather than shooting the other dude, he instantly snapped onto us. Oh, pain. And he puts a big shot straight through us, which means we're now a one-shot for the E4, or the 4005, all that good stuff. But we're up to 5.7k damage, and that's a full health Waffly 100. We're going to load those 90mm HE pen rounds for 1100 alpha. We're loading it. We're loading it. We want that shot. We want that shot so badly. I know he's fired. I go for the shot into the turret, and it goes low. It goes low and does track damage, which is a sad time. But we know, again, he's still reloading, so we're waiting on that reload to make sure this HE is going to go into this turret front. 1128 damage roll right there. Fantastic finish there on the Waffle E100 with HE. It's always satisfying when we get the HE pen. And we finished the game with 2 kills, 7.2k damage. The high caliber, the second class, the Confederate medal for 1381 base XP. Pretty decent game there, again, for the Taran. Just showing off the strengths and the weaknesses of the vehicle, to be fair, and how this tank now performs while it's nerfed. Again, you do feel the nerfs, to be fair. You feel it definitely feels that little bit more different to what it was pre-nerf. But it's still an absolutely fantastic 850 Alpha Stealthy TD, and it just slaps about. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!